आज शुरुआत करेंगे लेक्चर नंबर 35 की इन आवर सीरीज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट करेंट अफेयर्स फॉर द यूपीएससी प्रीलिम्स 2020. In lecture number 35, we will be doing the environment related current affairs which came in the month of April only. Very important first topic is uranium contamination in groundwater. But this contamination in groundwater of uranium, this study was done specifically for Bihar recently. The study took almost 1.5 years and the researchers came from University of Manchester, United Kingdom, and there is one institute in Patna, Mahavir Cancer Institute and Research Center. They collaborated together and studied the groundwater of Bihar's many districts, and out of that it was found that in almost 10 districts of Bihar, uranium contamination level is more than the World Health Organization's prescribed limit. Now the study is very surprising. You know why? Because in Bihar in 2003 we had found that arsenic contamination is too much. In your Bihar and Bengal area, in the Ganga Valley, arsenic contamination in groundwater is too much, and in fact it's coming in wheat, in gehu, in wheat, the grain, the arsenic is coming. Arsenic leads to many problems, cancer and everything, renal failure also. But arsenic and uranium have an inverse relationship. Wherever there is arsenic present, uranium will not be present. That is why this study was very surprising that in Bihar, almost 10 districts of Bihar, there is excess uranium in groundwater. The source of the uranium could not find. These studies said that they could not do it properly because the COVID-19 pandemic came, so research was not completed. Source is exactly not located, but we will study what can be the possible sources. So point to be noted, Bihar already had problem of arsenic contamination from 2003. Now in 2020 we are saying that Bihar has excess of uranium contamination also. In fact, in Jaduguda in Jharkhand, nearby Bihar only, Jharkhand was part of Bihar previously, we have uranium mines. But those places in Bihar where we have found the uranium, Nalanda, Gaya, Patna, in fact, those are far away places. In Supal the maximum uranium concentration is found. So even being very at a large distance from Jaduguda mines in Jharkhand, uranium contamination present in groundwater, all these results are shocking. This uranium is found along a band to the east of Gandak river and running south of the Ganga river towards Jharkhand. There is a band created from Bihar to Jharkhand. In that band uranium is found, and maximum concentration of uranium was found in Supal district of Bihar. That was 80 microgram of uranium per liter of water. And what is WHO's prescribed limit? That is only 30 microgram per liter of water. So more than double, almost 3 times than the prescribed limit, the maximum concentration. Now see here only, apart from University of Manchester, United Kingdom, your Mahavir Cancer Institute and Research Center is associated in this study. Why? Because uranium contamination in groundwater causes cancer. Also it can cause the kidney failure or liver failure, renal failure. So this cancer causing uranium presence, that is why Mahavir Cancer Institute and Research Center was also associated with this study. And that's how we say that the permissible limit, the upper limit according to the World Health Organization of uranium in groundwater is 30 microgram per liter. Here in Bihar we are finding almost 80 microgram per liter. There is one big problem. Your Bureau of Indian Standards prescribed the drinking water specifications, that what kind of elements and what kind of compounds can be present to the maximum extent. They have prescribed limits for arsenic and other toxic or heavy metals. But your uranium is not mentioned there. They haven't mentioned that. For example, WHO mentioned, right, 30 microgram per liter is permissible level. Beyond that it is dangerous. But Bureau of Indian Standards has not prescribed any limit for uranium, and now you are finding uranium in whole India, in fact Bihar also. So that's a problem. You don't have the prescription and you are finding uranium which can cause renal failure and cancer also. So is this problem present only in Bihar? No. 16 states of India show a high prevalence of uranium concentration above 30 microgram per liter prescribed by the WHO. They see western part of India, a little bit in southeastern part of India, and here in the East India, Bihar, Jharkhand area is having large concentration of uranium in the groundwater. Again the same thing in infographic. India has no standard for uranium levels in groundwater. Leave Bureau of Indian Standard, no standard is present in India about the groundwater uranium contamination level. There have been reports of high level uranium in Andhra Pradesh, this area only, the Andhra Pradesh area. What happens that When you do the over pumping of groundwater, suppose there is groundwater, okay, here is your farmland. Now what you do that you extract the groundwater, and you know water is present in different layers in aquifers below the stones and rocks. So what will happen, you extract the water, so water level will go down, go down, go down, go down. Once it reaches some layers which have uranium present in those rocks, water mixes up with those rocks, and you will be getting those rocks, and you will be getting water from those aquifers. It will go up in your pumping, you will drink that water. Also there is other problem in your farmland, the crops will also accumulate amount of uranium. So tomorrow if we use that wheat and rice, we are going to eat uranium directly. So once you do the over pumping of groundwater, that causes a decline in water levels. That will fill with air. This induces oxidation conditions that enhance uranium enrichment in shallow groundwater. In your shallow groundwater only the uranium enrichment will happen, and this is not like your nuclear enrichment, right? This simply means the increasing of the concentration by pumping of the water from the rocks and aquifers in the groundwater. So what are the possible factors? That being said, just remember that these researchers actually haven't located the source of uranium in groundwater because of COVID-19 pandemic. They could not complete their study. But generally, there are some main factors which are responsible for uranium contamination. First factor is amount of uranium contained in aquifers rocks. Some rocks have the uranium that mixes up with water. I already told you. Water rock interactions that can cause the uranium to be extracted from these rocks. Again, the same process. Oxidation conditions, when you pull out a lot of water from the groundwater, that will mean it will fill up with oxygen and air, and that oxidation condition enhances the extracted uranium solubility in water. Solubility is enhanced, so water takes up uranium from the water. The interaction of extracted uranium with other chemicals in groundwater, such as other chemicals also can interact with your uranium, bicarbonate, and this can further enhance the solubility. And human factors such as groundwater table decline, nitrate pollution from your fertilizers, they also can cause the problem to enhance. So what can be done as preventive solution? Revision of the current water quality monitoring program. First of all, you set a standard for uranium also. Then you evaluate the human health risk in areas of high uranium prevalence. You should study that people taking grains from uranium contaminated water and soil, are they getting affected? Development of adequate remediation technology. What is remediation technology? For example, phytoremediation. There are rhizofiltration also. So what you do, you know that this aquifer is contaminated with uranium or this soil is contaminated with uranium. You plant some trees which will extract uranium in their leaves, in their stem, in their flowers, and later you extract that plant and use it for biomass or whatever, but just don't eat it. So the groundwater and the soil's uranium contamination, the uranium concentration goes up in this plant. This is called phytoremediation. You can use other remediation technique. You can use the rhizofiltration. The roots of the plant filter uranium. These are rhizofiltration. There are various other techniques also. Your standard in Bureau of Indian Standards should come up with a uranium standard in drinking water specification, so that your RO, the reverse osmosis, your equipment will also say that how much is the uranium present in their system based on uranium's kidney harming effects. Uranium, the most impactful factor the uranium causes in your health, that is kidney failure or renal failure, and after some time it can cause cancer also. You need to identify the risk areas. For example, Bihar has become a risk area. You need to monitor them, and then you can prevent and treat uranium contamination. Our next topic is also very important. The next topic is pet coke. Why this is named as pet coke? Because petroleum coke. When you do the cracking of petroleum, the crude petroleum in the furnace, or you can say the barrel, actually the oil refinery, the bottom product is your pet coke. Okay, this product is pet coke. What is the news? Your Directorate General of Foreign Trade, DGFT, is situated under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, DGFT is situated under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Remember that it has laid down some quota. For your pet coke import, because Supreme Court had given a judgment in the past and limited the amount of import of pet coke because Supreme Court said that this is causing very high level of sulfur pollution in the National Capital Territory and also the other areas of India. So Supreme Court said that this should be limited, the import should be limited. Once the import was limited, then government had to decide which industries will get how much of the import. So for that, Directorate General of Foreign Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has laid down a procedure for allocation of quota for import of one CPC. CPC is what? Calcined pet coke for aluminium industry. Aluminium industry requires calcined pet coke, and also raw pet coke for creating calcined pet coke in the Indian industries only. You understand what? One is that you need raw pet coke because you will be creating calcined pet coke you will be creating calcined pet coke in Indian industry. You need to manufacture it in India also. For that you need the raw pet coke. And second thing is that you are importing the refined calcined pet coke directly from foreign countries for your aluminium industry. For both of these, Ministry of Commerce and Industry through its DGFT has laid down some quota that which industry will get how much for the financial year 2020-21. This is the news, but news is not very important. We need to know pet coke, and also we need to know how this ban came, how this import quota came. It is a byproduct this is not a main product, right? In your crude petroleum, the main product is kerosene, diesel and petroleum, but this is a byproduct. In the refinery, at the bottom of the barrel, this dark solid substance is present which is called pet coke, carbonaceous solid. How does it look like? See, it look like this, black and solidified. This is the bottom of the barrel thing. This pet coke is good and bad also. The good thing is that this is a very high grade fuel. That means it has high calorific value, gives lots of energy after burning, 8000 kilocalorie per kg. Also it has low ash content. Now you will be very happy. Okay, fine, high amount of heat and high energy, but low ash content, low volatile matter also. Now you will be very happy, no pollution. But the problem is that sulfur content in pet coke is almost up to 7%, which is very large. So it will have low ash, low volatile matter. That is fine, that will not be causing the pollution. The problem is that sulfur content is very high, 7%, and in Delhi smoke and everything, sulfur was the main culprit apart from nitrogenous substances. Sulfur present in pet coke is very dangerous. That is why Supreme Court had put a ban on it, and then after some time Supreme Court said that okay, some amount of it can be imported, not a problem. It happened in 2017. Environment Pollution Control Authority, EPCA. Now first of all, let's stop here and understand what is EPCA. What was happening is that in Delhi the air pollution was becoming a very big hazard. Supreme Court took an action, and Supreme Court asked the government, create a body specifically for your National Capital Territory so that it can look into the issues of pollution in Delhi, and also it can solve some problems and suggest government. So by going by that, Government of India created Environment Pollution Control Authority and created it by an act, that is Environment Protection Act 1986. This happened in 1998 only. That authority, Environment Pollution Control Authority, so it is a authority made by an act, 1986 EPA Act. This is a statutory authority. So 2017, this authority says that this is for the looking in the pollution and its solution in National Capital Territory only. Okay, remember that. Environment Pollution Control Authority in 2017 had recommended that distribution, sale and use of furnace oil, two things, not only pet coke, furnace oil also. Furnace oil and pet coke be strictly banned in National Capital Region because it has high sulfur content. Why only National Capital Region? Because the limit of Environment Pollution Control Authority is in National Capital Territory only, National Capital Region only. So NCR region, you should say that. And following that recommendation by the EPCA, Supreme Court banned use of pet coke in New Delhi. So this body recommended. Now the people complained to Supreme Court that see, even after the recommendation of a statutory body, this pet coke and furnace oil is being used in NCR and that is causing huge amount of air pollution. Supreme Court took an action and said that judicial activism and said that petcoke will be banned in New Delhi and neighboring states of Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan after the air pollution level in the national capital region reached hazardous level. That is a thing. But in 2018 what happened? 2018 petcoke was banned for use and fuel nationwide following Supreme Court judgment in MC Mehta versus Union of India. First of all, NCR region, your Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Delhi, and then the nationwide ban came in 2018 following a judgment in MC Mehta versus Union of India. Its import was but allowed, but only for cement, lime, calcium carbide and gasification industries, because these industries need lots of energy. So you have limited resources, so you can use petcoke because that is giving very high calorific value. Cement industry, lime kiln, calcium carbide and gasification industries could import petcoke that was allowed when used as feedstock, or in manufacturing process. But later government permitted imports of certain quantity of petcoke used for fuel purposes. You understand the difference? In this case, its import was allowed only for cement, lime and everything fine, but that was allowed for feedstock. What is feedstock? You use something and then you do some actions over it and you create something. Material used which is getting converted from source to product, that material is feedstock. This is not fuel, okay? This is getting converted into the product. This is not fuel. So for that feedstock, it was allowed in some industries. But now the government says that no, very high amount of energy is needed. So we can use it for fuel purposes only, and the fuel will not be converting in product. Fuel will be just used for energy. So for fuel purposes, government said that it will be allowed, and also for anode making by aluminium industry. Before its import ban, India was world's largest consumer of petcoke. Presently, what has happened that Supreme Court has fixed the import limit for raw petroleum coke at 0.5 metric ton. You do not need to remember that, but just remember that there is a quota, 0.5 metric ton per annum, and calcined petroleum coke or CPC, that is 1.4 MTPA or metric ton per annum. Because of that quota only, government is coming with the procedure for quota for the different industries. Now understand the environmental impacts of petcoke or petcoke. First of all, this is a petroleum product, so this is a greenhouse gas releasing product. Because of carbon releases greenhouse gases. See, this has very high carbon content, that is why it is a very good fuel also, because very high carbon content, it releases up to 10% more CO2 than normal coal, which makes the petcoke a huge contributor to greenhouse gases, 10% more CO2 than your normal coal. This has very high level sulfur content, you know already, 7%. If you use low grade petcoke, it contains high amount of sulfur, which results in release of sulfur dioxide. That may cause acid rain also, that may cause formation of a smog also during combustion. SOx or your sulfur oxides are nasal irritant, cause air pollution, and even acid rain can happen because of them. Acid rain can happen because of sulfur oxides. Acid rain can also happen because of nitrogen oxides, HNO3 and H2SO4. Both are acids. Heavy metals. Petcoke also contains heavy metals such as your nickel and vanadium, and you know very well that heavy metals, if consumed or taken in the body, cause various kinds of problem, whether it is renal failure or heart problems, mental problems, or can happen, which can deteriorate quality of environment and cause toxicity in groundwater, soil and plants and animals also. Particulate matter. This is not a very clean fuel, okay? This will have PM 2.5, PM10 also. Significant quantities of particulate matter from petcoke storage and handling operations happen. They lead to inflammation in lungs, and especially in urban and industrial areas, obviously this will happen more. Next news sounds very good in the beginning, but then you realize that this is not a good news. This is just a cyclical news. News is Arctic ozone hole. And what was the news about it? European Union's Copernicus atmosphere monitoring services camps. You know the Copernicus system. First of all, understand what is Copernicus program. Then we will understand Copernicus atmospheric monitoring system. Copernicus is the European Union's Earth observation program. Okay, Earth observation program and managed by the European Commission. In the last lecture only I told you about the European Commission. The executive body of the European Union is the European Commission, and it partnerships with the European Space Agency or ESA. What is the aim of this program? To achieve a global, that is world level, continuous, that is not with a gap, continuously it will observe with the changes and everything, autonomous, that will be automatic, human intervention and human labor will be less, high quality images, wide range Earth observation capacity through this Copernicus program. That will lead to better management of environment. We will understand and mitigate the effects of climate change, and that will ensure civil security. Now you have to observe climate change and everything with this Copernicus program. So one factor in climate change is global your ozone depleting substances. So one arm of Copernicus program is Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Service, which you just heard about. CAMS or Copernicus Atmospheric Management Service Monitoring Service is a service implemented by European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. It was launched in 2014 and provides continuous data and information on atmosphere, its composition and everything. It will not only observe the ozone depletion, it will observe air pollution, solar energy, greenhouse gases and climate forcing globally. So now this organization, European Union's Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Service, has said that a very big hole in the Arctic ozone layer, and it is believed that this is the biggest reported hole ever in the Arctic region, in the Arctic ozone layer. This hole has closed. But this hole has not closed permanently, okay? This is a seasonal variation. The ozone's hole closing was because of a phenomenon called polar vortex. This is a part of your geography syllabus. Please read about polar vortex. This is not because of reduced air pollution. No, air pollution is not reducing. The ozone depleting substances have reduced. But this is not the reason why this ozone hole has closed. This is because of polar vortex. And due to COVID-19 lockdowns around the world, a little bit of air pollution reduction has also happened. Fine. As I told you already, the European Union has Copernicus program that has 6 services. Out of that, CAMS is one service, and your Copernicus program is what? European Union's Earth Observation Program, executed by European Union Commission. The functions of Copernicus program and CAMS is written here. I already explained you with this Wikipedia. It provides consistent quality control information related to air pollution and health, solar energy, greenhouse gases and climate forcing everywhere in the world, and also provides data about the ozone depleting substances and depletion of ozone layer. I already told you in the last lecture that ozone is of 2 types. If it is present in lower level of atmosphere, it is bad ozone, a pollutant. If it is present in the stratosphere, that ozone is good for your nature because it helps you protect from the sun's ultraviolet rays, and in that also ultraviolet B rays particularly, which are dangerous, which are carcinogenic, and that can mutate the organisms and can cause various ailments in the bodies of plants and animals. So what is ozone hole? Is it like zero ozone? No. The concentration becomes too low to stop the ultraviolet rays coming from the sun. That is the ozone hole, and this becomes extremely low in certain months. In certain months, when in April month's current affairs, that was the certain month, because of polar vortex, it becomes the ozone hole becomes extremely low, okay? And in some months the hole will become large and concentration will become very low. This stratosphere is between 10 to 50 km from the Earth's surface. Can you tell me the different layers of your atmosphere? See, if you take this ultraviolet rays, that can cause skin cancer and other diseases and deformities in plants and animals. So that is how this ozone absorbs the harmful ultraviolet radiations from the sun, eliminating a big threat to life forms on the Earth. So what are the regions that you have big and biggest ozone hole over the Arctic and not Antarctic? In 2020, the ozone depletion over the Arctic was in fact much larger. See, this is website of World Meteorological Organization, body of the United Nations, publicwmo.int. It says that news came in May 1, 2020. It said that Arctic ozone depletion reached record level. See, in ozone depletion in 2020, similar ozone depletion was present in 2011 spring also. Now again in 2020 the ozone depletion is even stronger, and according to WMO, according to NASA, and according to Copernicus, everyone is saying that ozone depletion is very much large. But this news came in April, before 1 month. That time ozone hole almost closed in April, with an increase in stratospheric temperature because of polar vortex, which culminated in an influx of ozone rich air from the lower atmosphere. So when the temperature in your stratosphere increased, okay, temperature became high, so lower level atmospheric level ozone reached there and filled up the gap. That is how you saw in the April that okay fine, ozone hole was closed. But again in the May month the hole became the largest ever after 2011. When was this detected? The hole in the North Pole ozone layer was first detected in February 2020, and by that time it had already reached maximum extension of around 1 million square kilometer. And you have unusual atmospheric conditions here, freezing temperature in the stratosphere. That is why, in the winters the ozone hole increases in size, in the summers it decreases in size. See, the cold temperature if below minus 80 degrees Celsius, with that in your sunlight, wind fields and substances such as chlorofluorocarbons are still liberating in the atmosphere from the industries, those were responsible for degradation of Arctic ozone layer. So somehow the nature is also helping degrade ozone layer, and human interactions are enhancing that degradation, causing harm to the human society and the other animal and plant society. And if you want to know which pole of the Earth has the largest hole about the ozone, then the size of hole was still smaller compared to that usually observed in the southern hemisphere. Your southern hemisphere, because of various reasons, has the larger ozone hole. That is, Antarctica has larger ozone hole and Arctic region has the relatively smaller ozone hole. Scientists are saying that polar vortex is causing the ozone hole closing, and not because of the lower pollution levels because of COVID-19 lockdown. They have come to this conclusion. So what is the status of ozone hole? As per the scientific assessment of ozone depletion data of 2018, if we go by this, the ozone layer in parts of stratosphere has recovered at a rate of 1 to 3% per decade since 2000, because we have taken various measures. For example, Montreal Protocol, and every nation is working towards releasing less or no chlorofluorocarbons and depending on other gases for refrigeration, aerosols, and your fridge and everything. So India is also a part of that, your Kigali agreement and everything. Kigali agreement is for those gases which were not causing the ozone depletion, but still Kigali agreement is an amendment to Montreal Protocol, because the hydrofluorocarbons, which were the replacement of hydrochlorofluorocarbon and chlorofluorocarbon, those were the gases which were not causing the depletion of the ozone layer, but they were acting as potent greenhouse gas. So we added Kigali agreement as an amendment to Montreal Protocol, which was for ozone depletion, but the gases included in Kigali agreement, that is hydrofluorocarbons, are not the ozone depleting substances, those are greenhouse gases. So with various measures taken in the last 2 decades, 3 decades, ozone depletion has been recovering, and recovery is at the rate of 1 to 3% only per decade since 2000. At these protected rates, if we count, northern hemisphere and mid-latitude ozone is predicted to recover by around 2030. But I said to you that northern hemisphere has less ozone hole, southern has more, so southern hemisphere will recover around 2050 and polar region by 2060. That is all for today in this lecture. See you in the next class.